Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. And a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
For the love of the game, but for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
This is why we love sports. It's in the way they play, free from the pressures and all the money talk. Playing for simply the love of the game, where everyone has a shot at their definition of success on and off the field. This is what we love about sports, and what we can still love about college sports.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and I know how powerful words can be. The term gay doesn't mean stupid, lame, or less than.
So I pledge to speak up if I hear the term gay used in a derogatory way or any other homophobic terms.
If you can play in Division III.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and my teammates unconditionally accepted me as part of their family. So now I pledge to do the same for others. If you can play in Division III.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at d3hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity.
That's odd. Our commercial break continued running. Of course, what's odd also, as you may notice, we lost our signal again. Thought we had found that. If you are a longtime friend of Hoopsville, you understand we've been dealing with that a little bit. We thought we blew it out. Now I narrowed it down to it's got to be one of the pieces of the commercial, so we will be blowing out one of those pieces of the commercial and redesigning it all again. If you got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville, hashtag Hoopsville, email us, hoopsville at D3Hoops.com, join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Hoopsville. We talked about the race in the Great Lakes region in the NCAC. Of course, this is a Great Lakes night, so it's perfect to talk about it. The conference race is interesting because we were keeping our eye on Wittenberg. Worcester had certainly made its presence known until a 3-game loss. Ohio Wesleyan's been the class of this conference, or at least in the conversation, I should say, the last few years. And you got plenty of others like DePaul and others who will make things interesting. Admittedly, I think some voters like myself weren't really paying attention to Wabash. They were 12-14 last season after all, 8-10 in the conference. Well, they've already surpassed last year's win total. 14 games into the season, they are 13-1. They defeated Wittenberg 96-83. They got Kenyon and DePaul ahead of them, but still lurking is Ohio Wesleyan, Worcester, and Wittenberg again. What can they do? Well, we decided to have a little fun this time around. Decided we wanted to talk to a player instead. I mean, we love Coach Kyle Brummett, but we've talked to him enough. Let's talk to a player. So joining us on the Hoopsville Skype hotline is senior guard Ben Strakowski. First off, thanks for taking the time out of what I assume is a busy life to join us here.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. We should point out, again, you're a senior guard, so we'll talk a little bit about what you're doing as a student athlete and what may be ahead for you down the road. I've already gotten a hint, folks. It once again makes me wonder why I even attended college. Ben, you guys with that win over Wittenberg, a game that certainly everybody was keying on in many ways, especially me as a voter trying to understand who you guys were. Does that add pressure to a game from your guys' point of view, or is it just another game, especially in conference, as a player?
I mean, honestly, it's just another game. I mean, when you play the Woosters and the Wits in the NCAC, you get excited to play those guys. But at the end of the day, it's just a game for us. We have a really young team. They may not even understand the implications of beating a Wit at home, beating a Wooster at home. So we like to keep it loose, and that's what we've done all season, and we've succeeded thus far. So.
Well, keeping it loose has worked. Like I said, you're off to a 13-1 start. The lone loss coming to Wilmington in a tournament back on the 28th. I'll admit I was in Vegas, and that game popped up. We all kind of went, oh, okay, so maybe Wabash isn't okay. All right, so Wabash, all right, fine, okay. The win over Wittenberg did it again. It kind of said to us, geez, who are they? So I got to back up. What happened against Wilmington?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we played at their pace. I mean, they sped the game up on us. We weren't as sound defensively. I think that's what's really gotten us to this point is our defense. I think we're third in the nation in defense. So, just staying true to the scout. Coming back from Christmas break is always tough. Playing those neutral site games. It just wasn't our night. They hit some shots that were kind of unscoutable, and we on the other end, we're a good 3-point shooting team, and we made 4 3-pointers. So, I mean, at the end of the day, they just made more shots than us, and you got to live with it. It's not the end of the world, not a conference game. Kind of got us back on track coming into conference play at the start of the new year. So, not the end of the world, but definitely one you want to have back.
Yeah, I can understand that. You guys earlier in the season played Ohio Wesleyan and Worcester on back-to-back games. Beat Ohio Wesleyan at their place by 9, I should say. It must be nice not to have Nate Axelrod to deal with anymore. And then you beat Worcester at home again by 2. Were those confident-building games for you guys?
Absolutely. I think it gave a taste to the freshmen that have been stepping up for us, that play a lot for us. Give them a little bit of a taste of the conference play. And then giving us confidence. I mean, we've had our bumps in the road, especially the last 3 years, due to injury, lack of, we just haven't had older guys either. So, having Logan and I and the juniors kind of understand what it takes to win in this league, and then showing, the sophomores and freshmen, this is how to do it, was definitely a confidence boost. And it definitely propelled us, into the grid of the conference season.
We wouldn't be lying if we said you weren't the biggest scoring threat for your team, 4.5 points a game, though you certainly pull in your fair share of rebounds, second on the team at 5.8. You certainly distribute it and do other things. But from your vantage point, what's your role with this team?
Yeah, I mean, coming in, I didn't really know what my role was going to be. As a freshman, you're just trying to figure everything out. I've dealt with some injuries. And coming into this year, I noticed that we have a lot of guys that can score. So I just wanted to try to make an impact on this team any way that I could. And I found that through, rebounding, being the vocal leader, kind of the coach out on the court. Brum puts a lot of trust in me, making sure the guys are, especially defensively, making sure, we're in our right positions. We're talking on defense. We have a sense of urgency to start the games. Making sure in the ball movement. And then just, keeping everyone positive. We have a really young group. So there's, the college basketball season, there's a lot of ups and downs. And since, I've been through the grind for 3 years now, I kind of understand, you can't get too high, you can't get too low. So at the end of the day, just being that vocal leader, being that guy that, everyone can go to, whether it's, school or basketball related, that's kind of the role I filled.
Talking with Ben Strakowski here, the senior guard from the Wabash men's team. Jack Davidson, I should say, leads the team in scoring, and you got 2 other guys in double figures. Talk a little bit about what your team is like. Who are the vocal leaders? Who are the subtle leaders?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think Logan and I, we're the only two seniors. We're definitely the vocal guys. You know, we're going to get on you whenever, you know, you might be messing around or something, but we definitely have to, you know, we definitely keep it loose for the most part. You know, the juniors, they're kind of our subtle leaders, you know. They lead by example. Not the biggest talkers, you know, definitely great guys, but, you know, they're some of my best friends for sure, but they definitely go about their business the right way, and I think the younger guys notice that and definitely try to follow in their footsteps.
There's a few questions I want to get to about you as a student athlete and then going to a school like Wabash. Let's start with being a student athlete. Obviously, it's demanding. We all have had the experience of Division III. It's not easy. You've taken it to another level. I've gotten the hint. What's your major?
I'm a history major, biology minor.
Oh, okay. You didn't do this the easy way. Not only did you double major in two very different things, you double majored. We'll just get it out of the way.
I just minored.
Yeah, it's
biology,
still a double major in my book.
All right, we'll count it. We'll count it.
Because it's biology and history.
Yeah.
You have labs. You've got huge papers you have to write. I mean, the time consumption, whether it's two majors or a minor and a major, it takes a lot. So how do you balance that? And realizing right now it is not the most stressful time usually for student athletes, but how do you balance that workload of school with the demands of playing a sport in two different semesters?
Yeah, well, actually, we just, being a senior at Wabash, we have comprehensive exams.
Right.
So right now we're in comprehensive exam week, where basically we get tested over our majors and minors. So that's been all this week. So actually, I have already been in the school grind a little bit. Something unique that Wabash does. I know a couple other places, liberal arts places does that as well. But honestly, you know, just time management. I was fortunate enough to go to a great high school and Wrights Memorial High School in Evansville, Indiana. And, you know, they taught me a lot about study habits, a lot about time management, and that really carried over into college. I feel like I have great time management skills. I'm the leader of the study tables for the basketball team. And I take pride in, you know, getting my work done early and being able to be willing to help out others whenever they need it. So, I mean, honestly, at Wabash as well, whenever you're in school, you only have, from Monday through Friday, you only practice from 4:20 to 6:20. So it kind of gives you a life outside of basketball. You know, Wabash preaches, you know, you got to be more than an athlete, be more than a student. So being involved in campus is also something pretty prominent to me. I'm part of the Center of Innovation, Business, and Entrepreneurship, which basically we get paid to do different engagements outside into the community, doing different consulting work, stuff like that. So you really get an all-around education, you know, inside of the classroom, outside of the classroom, you know, on the basketball court. You're really doing a lot of things here at Wabash, and that's what makes this place so special.
You dealt with injuries too during those 3 years. How do you balance now? On top of that, you may not be able to go to practice, but you got to focus on rehab, or you're at practice but you can't really participate. How do you keep your mind in the game, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to remember, you know, you're doing this for your teammates. You know, I love my teammates so much. You know, they're my friends for life. So just remembering that, it kind of puts things into perspective. Like, things are bigger than basketball, and like basketball's what like brought us together. But honestly, through my injuries, like I've had foot surgery, I've had ankle surgery. I just actually tweaked my ankle against Oberlin.
Damn Oberlin.
That's why I didn't play the regular minutes I did against Witt. But I mean, honestly, like, it's a grind, and like, you know, Division III sports, that's what it is. And, you know, you're not getting paid, but at the end of the day, you're playing for the love of the game. You're playing for your teammates. So that's what's kind of pushed me through.
We'll take that snippet and use that for further promotions. Well done. I think the Indy will give you a call about that one. Very well done. Wabash is a single-sex college.
Right.
I'm very familiar with that, having gone to a single-sex high school. It was a male school, for anybody out there curious. And I chose that school in high school. I didn't make that choice for college. But the male schools, there's technically three, and people can correct me, St. John's, Wabash, and Hampden-Sydney. What drew you to that kind of education and that kind of environment, for lack of a better description? And did you have it in high school as well, by chance?
No, I didn't. I went to a co-ed high school.
So what drew you to Wabash? What drew you to the single-sex point of view?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it really wasn't a big factor for me.
Okay.
My dad actually went to a all-male high school in St. Ignatius up in Cleveland, and he said, you know what, you're not even going to notice it once you get into the swing of things. He was absolutely right. You know, I get asked this question all the time. You know, why'd you choose Wabash? You know, it's all guys. Like, you know, like, why'd you go to Wabash? At the end of the day, it's all about the brotherhood. I mean, you walk around campus and, you know, everyone's talking to everyone. You know, in this day and age, you know, everyone has their phones and listening to music and texting each other. But, you know, honestly, at Wabash, you walk across the, you know, main campus, you know, across the mall, we call it. You know, people are talking to each other. People are having those conversations, you know, not just about sports, but about life in general. You know, how are you doing? Opening the doors for each other. And that's what I saw on my visit. And then Wabash also, you know, it's a top-notch education. And then you also get to play basketball. I get to play basketball on top of that. It's just great. So being single sex, it really wasn't a big selling point for me either way. So honestly, it hasn't affected my decision.
Interesting.
At all.
I kind of agree with your dad. I don't think you really notice it per se. I mean, there's things you notice, but
right.
Yeah, in my daily life in school, it wasn't like, oh my goodness, there's no girls here. It just wasn't a factor. So,
cut out.
Point of view. Curious. What are you doing?
Sorry, you cut out there for a
No,
second.
it's fine. I was just rambling. You didn't miss anything.
All good.
Curious. What do you plan to do after college? Again, you're a senior. I hate to tell you, but the end's coming.
Yeah.
What do you hope to do when you've gotten the degree, you've walked across the stage or whatever, and you walk off campus?
Yeah, so I'll be attending the University of Notre Dame for graduate school. I'm going into their STEAM program. It's basically like a specialty like business program, master's in business, specifically in entrepreneurship and engineering. So I'm basically helps you with kind of connecting that STEM background that I have with biology with business to hopefully start your own business someday. With the program, you work with a capstone thesis, which basically pairs you with a startup company.
Yeah.
And then after you graduate, just 11-month master's program, so it's pretty quick, pretty accelerated. Wow. Yeah, so you can either continue to work with that startup, or you can go into bigger consulting firms and stuff like that. So the big thing for me is I want to start my own business someday.
Okay.
Preferably something in sports or something with healthcare. Kind of be my own boss is kind of my dream. So
it's got its pluses and minuses.
Yeah. So that's kind of what pulled me towards this that master's program.
If you don't mind me asking though, how does the history play in then in your life? How does the history? Why was it a part of your education? And do you hope to do anything with it, or is it? You tell us.
Yeah, I mean, I think history as the facts and everything isn't something I'm going to be dealing with in my everyday work life. But I think here at Wabash we do a good job at basic critical thinking, and we have a lot of discussion-based classes. In history in particular, I just like the subject, so that's the main reason I picked it. They say at Wabash that majors don't matter, experiences do. So I've had a lot of good experiences. I've gotten to go on an immersion course that was paid for to go to England through one of my classes over the summer for 10 days. So that was awesome. And then also going back to the discussion-based classes and stuff. I mean, you get to conversate with your peers. You get to conversate with your professors. You have to show up to class and be ready to argue your points, and you can't just show up and just slack off. I mean, Wabash is a place where you need to kind of put on your big boy pants, and you're kind of pushed into the real world from day one.
I could talk to you for a while. I find that fascinating. I'd almost consider going to Wabash if I knew that would be a dumb idea for me personally. I don't need no more education. I struggled as it was. But fascinating. And school these days is so much different than when I was there. And I mean that in a great way, because you guys have some awesome opportunities. Before I let you go, obviously games ahead. At Kenyon, at home against DePaul, Ohio Wesleyan, Worcester, still lurking. a little bit. What's the chat in the locker room about? You're on the spotlight now. How do you stay there?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I think the big talk is just, you know, on to the next one. I mean, you can't take Kenyon for granted. You can't take that game for granted. You know, you never know when your last game's going to be. And you know, we're really good at moving on to the next one. You know, we're starting our scouting report already on Kenyon. And honestly, we just want to win out this first half. You know, DePauw's our last our last game for our first time around through everybody. Right. So, you know, beating everyone the first time is something that we really want to accomplish. But you know, you can't take Kenyon for granted. You got to show up and play. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, well put. Well, thank you for the time. We always have a tradition here. Guests get the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who are tuning in?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Brent Harris for setting this up. He's our media guy. Hopefully he's watching this right now. Obviously my parents, for all the support they've given me, you know, the coaches, teammates for just being great guys on and off the court. I have to shout out the Gator boys. They told me I got to do that for them.
Okay. Well, it's acceptable.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to expand upon that at all.
No, that's fine. You don't need to.
Yeah, and then I guess I'm just thanking you, you know, for covering Division III sports. I'm blessed to play for Wabash. You know, we always have great crowds. The students really bought into this team and the community as well. But you just giving us that national stage is something that we really appreciate. I know the players do and the coaches as well. So definitely appreciate that. And maybe if we keep winning, maybe we can get you a jersey there in the studio.
Oh, I wouldn't mind that. Well, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, because we can't do the show without guests coming on. Or we could, but it's a lot less exciting. And yeah, well, I wouldn't mind a little Wabash in the back. That wouldn't be bad. We could take it.
I think it'd look good. You need some red back there.
Yeah, exactly. We could use a little more, to be sure. Hey, thanks again. Good luck the rest of the season. Look forward to seeing how you guys do the rest of the way, and we'll talk to you sometime down the road.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. McKee.
Absolutely. He is. Ben Sikowski joining us. Impressive. Jeez. Again, I know he's got one as a minor, but they're both majors in my book when you got that much work. That's insane. Congratulations to him. Looking forward to seeing what he and Wabash does down the rest of the word. And yeah, breaking news. I went to an all-men's school, all-boys school called Salisbury School in Connecticut. It's a little confusing down in my neck of the woods where there's a Salisbury University that I used to play against in my own conference when I was a student athlete. But Salisbury School, you got your plug in there. I'm a Sarum alum. Going to take another break. When we come back, switch gears, talk women. Go up to upstate New York, talk to the 14th-ranked Geneseo women's basketball team, who has, it's all being done with an alum under head coach for the first time ever. We're talking Hoopsville, and we'll be back after this. You're watching. See you soon.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go into personal trainer and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
UW-Eau Claire and Mayo Clinic Health System are creating amazing opportunities for students from across the Midwest. Our collaborative research agreement allows students to work with world-renowned physicians and scientists. And with more than 80 majors, UW-Eau Claire is the perfect fit for those who dream big and are ready to change the world.
I used to never really talk, ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at d3hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. That's what you have here tonight. That's what you've earned here tonight. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the show. If you got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Email us, hoopsville@d3hoops.com. Join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. Once again, sorry for the tech glitch again. We know where it is. We just can't seem to solve it. We will solve it. I promise you. I just can't believe we had to go through it again. Thanks to Ben Sturkowski for joining us also on the show. Coach Kyle Brumett saying, great job leading our team and representing Wally Wabash basketball. I agree with him completely. Great interview with Ben. All right, so let's switch gears. Let's talk women's basketball. In the offseason, I'll admit I was surprised. Scott Hemmer and I had a conversation. His name had popped up in some D1 conversations in women's basketball. And I'm not going to reveal everything we talked about, Scott and I, because some of it's just between friends and some of it's not for public consumption. But my gathering was he ain't going anywhere. He's going to stay in Division III. We're going to get to enjoy Geneseo at the top as always, and Scott Hemmer is going to stay in the upstate New York area. Well, I got most of that wrong. He still stayed in the upstate New York area, but he ended up taking a D1 job after all. It surprised me. Scott is, and again, Scott, if you're listening, Scott, again, if you're dead to me, and you know you're dead to me, but that's okay. Taking over for him was an alum, one who had been under him for several years, Alyssa Pawlowski. So you figure, okay, what's going to happen next? Are they going to be able to stay as good as they have been? You know, honestly, it's a trick question. It depends on the program. It depends on so many things. In my experience, it didn't work out so well. Not that we were world beaters, to say the least, but it didn't work out when the assistant coach became head coach. Well, it's working out for Geneseo. Alyssa Pawlowski's got her team 11-0, 5-0 in the SUNYAC, and 14th in the nation right now, according to D3Hoops.com, and she joins us on the Hoopsville hotline, and thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me. This is pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you doing it. We've had Scott on a number of occasions, both good and bad. We won't talk about the bad. We've moved on at Geneseo, and it's great to see. But you played and you coached under Scott. What's it like to take over the program?
Well, you know, I often get asked that a lot, and I have a hard I have a hard time.
Shocking.
I know. I have a hard time expressing my feelings on that because it just doesn't ever feel like any words can portray what I really feel about it. And I tend to get somewhat emotional when I think about it, just because of what this program has meant to me and what all the people that I've met and how they've gotten me to where I am today. I don't think I would have taken the job if it wasn't Geneseo and how much we've been through and just how much work we've put in to get the program to where it is today and just how strongly I feel about what we're doing here.
I can understand that. You're saying if you were an assistant somewhere else, you wouldn't necessarily want to have taken the head coaching job immediately, but because it's your alma mater and you know the program, that's the reasons you wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm being very honest. It was never really a goal of mine to be a head coach.
Really?
You know, when I first stepped foot at Geneseo on campus in April of 2009, if you would have told me as a recruit that I would be a head coach someday, I would have laughed you out of the room.
I kid you not. That I've heard that story a lot, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and, you know, I always said that the only place I would ever even consider being a head coach would be at Geneseo, and I didn't think it would come so soon. You know, I was very happy I was a teacher. I was happy as an assistant coach. But when the opportunity arose, I just thought to myself, if I don't do this now, when am I going to do it? And the answer was probably never. And I'm just not a big fan of that feeling of regret. So I knew that I was going to take the jump and go for it.
Well, Scott's probably listening to this right now over pizza. Would you like to yell at him at all? Would you like to blame him? Would you like anything in particular? I know he's enjoying it over pizza at least.
Yeah, he's definitely enjoying some pizza right now. No, I think it was a good move for him. It was a good move for me. I think we're both very happy.
Hey, it was a great move for you. It was a crappy move by him, but we don't need to discuss him anymore. Team is undefeated, 14-0. I'll be honest. Did you think you guys could continue the success without him there? And I mean that because even if you're running the same stuff, you're now in charge. So instead of you being maybe the person they can talk to when they can't talk to the head coach, you're now the head coach. It changes the dynamic a little bit. Did you expect to be so successful?
I'm still getting used to that. People saying, you're the head coach, you're making the decisions.
Yeah, heads up.
That's still a little scary to me there. I know that this group had very high expectations this year, no matter who their coach was. And I was very fortunate to fall into this group. We have most everyone back from last year.
Right.
And I was fortunate to get this gig, but it's also a little bit different than every other head coach who's gotten a gig because I had these relationships before I got the job with the players.
Right.
So we really had the opportunity to just skip that, hey, nice to meet you, let's develop a relationship phase, and jump right into the let's get to work and get better phase. And thankfully, they have trusted me, and they've been forgiving in my mistakes, which I've made plenty. My leaders have been incredible. There's definitely been a learning curve and some growing pains on my end, but they've supported every decision I've made and helped me learn this job quickly because it's just not a job that you can read up on and then you know how to do it.
Yeah.
It gets easier every day. My leaders, they've helped keep our culture in a good place, which is one of, I think, the best parts of our program, which I'm really trying to sustain.
Let's see where I want to go with this. I guess, how long did it take between, and because I personally can't remember, but you would know more behind the scenes since you know the timeline better than we would have. How long did it take between the job technically going open and them coming to you and saying, we want you to run it?
It was probably a month and a half, the whole process. A very long month and a half.
Yeah.
Over the summer. I didn't have much of a summer. I was pretty much just prepping for this job, and thankfully that paid off for me. And then that was at the end of July, and I had to jump right into recruiting because I was kind of behind a little bit. And next thing you know, the kids are on campus, and we're going at it.
You were doing a lot of the recruiting as an assistant, correct? So that's not necessarily a learning curve for you, right?
No, I had done some of the recruiting, not the bulk of it.
Okay.
But I had certainly gone to tournaments and stuff with Scott, and I've been down that road. So that wasn't new to me, no.
By the way, when you make mistakes, you can always blame the assistant.
That's true. I'm learning that. I know he's listening too, and I know he was going to give me a hard time for that.
Like he didn't do it himself. How much did you, or what's the biggest learning curve so far? What's been the one thing maybe that you're still kind of hitting your head about, or something about this job, or about this team, or about this season?
I think it's just I tend to be a planner. I'm quite a planner. I like to have things done before the time comes, and I'm learning how to adjust on the fly, which you obviously have to do as a coach.
Yeah.
There was one game. It was our William Smith game right at the end, and we had drawn up a play that we've run for a long time, kind of just to get the ball in bounds, and I messed it up. I completely messed it up, and I had to call another timeout, and my assistant had to step in and draw it up, and I had made a promise to my team at the beginning of the year, and I said that last year we used excuses a lot of we were young for our mistakes. And I said to them, what excuses do you have this year? And none of us could come up with any. And I said, I can only think of one, the fact that you have a young and inexperienced coach. And I had promised them that having a young and inexperienced coach would not be a deficit to them. And it almost was in that game. And that really stuck with me because I went in the locker room and I just apologized up and down, and I said, I will not make that mistake again. So I think the hardest part's just been the constant pressure I've been putting on myself just to keep them in a good position to win every game. And, again, thankfully with a team that's experienced, they have somewhat covered up some of my mistakes, which I'm thankful for. But, again, I'm just still learning every day, trying to take it all in and just learning from my mistakes, just like we tell players all the time.
Well, one mistake you haven't made is you start the same five. They're darn good. Let's be honest. They're the top 5 scorers for your team. McKenna Brooks leading the way at 13 points a game. Lindsay Halpin, I think we've talked about her a few times on this show. 10.5 points a game. Natalie Alfieri, 9.5, 10 points a game. Kelly Poplowski, 9.5 points a game. And Karen Montgomery at 8 points a game. What is it about that 5? Because I've seen starting 5s, and a lot of them tend to be in the top scoring group, but not all 5. What is it about that group?
I think, you've got McKenna and Kelsey who have been in the system for a long time, and they understand what it takes to win. They've won a lot of games here. And I think those 3 sophomores just have that. They will do whatever it takes to win. They are just competitors, and they want to be really good, and they listen, and I love it because I don't have to be fluffy with them. You can kind of shoot it straight, and they just click really well. They know the system. They're smart. They buy into it, which is half the battle, I think. They've got to believe in what you're saying and what you're telling them to do, and then they'll go out and do it. They're all just clicking really well together, and you can see they've upped their game a lot this year.
Lindsay's just a sophomore. I feel like the amount we've talked about her, she should be an older player. Tell me about Halpin.
Lindsay is a great player to work with because I said, she just wants to win, and she wants to be really good, and what else could you want out of your point guard? And she's going to laugh at this, but she is stubborn, man. She is stubborn. And that's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
But she just has such an ability to create with off the bounce for her teammates. And, the first questions she asked after a game is how many turnovers did I have and how many assists did I have? And, she's just a true point guard. And I love seeing her smile down when she's running down the court, when she made a good pass or that extra pass to her teammate for a 3-ball or something. She's just laughing and clapping because she just loves helping her teammates out like that. Cool. And that's just so rewarding to see as a coach. Yeah.
That's really cool. The schedule is nothing. You were down at York. I can't believe I missed that one.
Yep.
You played Lycoming, beat York. Got conference games. To be blunt, there isn't anything here that jumps off the page. We'll blame Scott. But you've got a lot of conference games. That obviously jumps off the page. You've got this grind, which we kind of made tonight's theme all about, of grinding through this conference. And this conference, a couple of years ago was Geneseo and nobody else. But Oleana is 10-1. They're 4-0 in conference play. New Paltz is 7-4. These 2 programs too that in the last couple of years have kind of been lurking a little bit, if you think of it that way. 17-10 last year for New Paltz, 19-8 last year for Oleana. This is a tough stretch ahead, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. This is we've got a tough weekend ahead for us. And, again, going back to that first team meeting I had with them, I said to my team, please don't be naive to think just because we have most everyone back from a championship team last year that winning was just going to happen and that people are just going to hand us things. I said, absolutely not. Do not think that. We're early in the conference season right now, and we can already see that anyone can win on any night and that no one can just show up and roll the balls out and expect to win, which, is fun. And our conference only lost 14 seniors last year to graduation total. So the whole conference now is experienced. Everyone is familiar with each other, and there's a lot of even matchups, which, can pose problems if our team doesn't show up consistently every night, not only in terms of like the scouting report and adjustments, but also regarding mentality, effort, energy, especially when you're on the road.
Yeah.
Which is where we go this weekend.
Yeah.
This road trip, Oneonta New Paltz, is always difficult, always. Oneonta, their defense is difficult to play against. Their guards are lengthy. Their forwards are threats from all over the court, and they're playing at a really high level this year. And New Paltz, again, another veteran team who's won a lot of games in their careers, and they've got 3 guards who can shoot the lights out. I mean, we tell our girls from the get-go, this is a tough trip that you are going to have to be mentally strong to get through and hopefully pull out 2 wins. And, I'm hoping our veteran team can handle that pressure. You might want to call me back Monday and see how I'm doing.
Okay. Yeah, also, it's not easy. There's no easy way to get to Oneonta from where you guys are. And there's obviously you got to go on to New Paltz, which is almost as far away as you can in this conference to the south and east. Granted, you can go further north. So it's not an easy trip geographically either. You're used to this stuff. You've played in it. Can you relate as a player to go back? And granted, this group knows you. So maybe this is a question really for down the road. But can you go back to these players and go, I get it. I've been there. I know what you're doing, or I know what you're going through, or I know what we're about to go through, and they can understand that?
Yeah, I've said that a lot, especially when we're about to do a really hard drill or we run a lot. I am able to relate to them somewhat, which I think they appreciate, but I think that they also know that doesn't mean I'm going to take it easy on them.
Yeah.
If anything, it's going to make me push them harder because I have some regrets as a player myself that I wish I did things differently, and I try to show that to them so that they don't have those same regrets.
I get that. I get that. That can sometimes be, I think, and I don't mean this towards you, but it can be a positive. It can also be a detriment. It's trying to figure out what that can work, because if you're trying to live your life through them, obviously. But it can be a positive, too, because you can kind of help them avoid what they say, the pitfalls. Yeah, fascinating. I could talk quite a bit with you, but unfortunately the clock is ticking, and we have other guests that we'd like to get to. I do have fun. You've got a great Polish name there. It feels like I'm not Polak, but I can't escape it, having grown up in Chicago, family in upstate New York, and married a wife who is very much Polak. I feel like this is just getting too it's following me here. Can you give me any advice to maybe shake it off? I mean, there's good food, good stories, all of that, but I need to shake it a little bit here, Alyssa. Any suggestions?
I was just going to say, keep eating the food because it's pretty good.
Yeah, I love a good pierogi, man.
Right?
Yeah. Whew. There is some advantages, that is for sure. Anyway, well, Alyssa, thanks so much for taking the time to talk about your Knights. Looking forward to seeing how the season can progress and moving the program forward. I guess they're glad. I know they're glad that you decided to become a head coach, at least at Geneseo. I find it interesting you didn't want to be a head coach anywhere else, but that's a conversation for another day. As always, we give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those tuning in?
Well, I just wanted to tell you thanks for all you do, and, your hard work doesn't go unnoticed. And although there's new leadership in place here at Geneseo, a lot has remained the same, especially within our culture. And a big piece of that has been our tradition of Pizza Thursday as a coaching staff, where we go up to Main Street and consume an embarrassing amount of pizza and wings. And I know Coach Hemmer had invited you several times to join us.
Yes.
And I just want you to know that invitation still stands.
Good. I want to take advantage of that. I will warn you, though, Scott has still invited me to join him, too.
No, we're way more fun than he is.
I will not disagree with you on that, and I don't even know that much, but I can already tell. We will be making an upstate New York trip sometime for games. I will absolutely make sure we have a Thursday set aside, despite it being a Hoopsville day, to join you guys for pizza and wings. Alyssa,
we would love that.
Great. I appreciate the time. Take care of yourselves. Good luck the rest of the way. Safe travels this weekend especially, and we'll look forward to talking to you and the Knights down the road.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave.
Absolutely. Take care. Alyssa Pulaski joining us from Geneseo. Again, the team is 14th ranked in the country. They are 11-0 They got Oneonta and New Paltz. Big test. Don't look this one over, folks. If you want to catch a couple of games that have a lot on the line, it's those two. By the way, Weekend Storm, I'm hoping the team also doesn't get kind of bogged down in New Paltz or trying to get to New Paltz. There is a Weekend Storm due for the East Coast up into that area. I don't know where it slides off the coast. I know we're going to get hit in the Mid-Atlantic with some kind of snow, but hopefully it doesn't affect them in their travels. And I mean that seriously, because that can be the toughest part this time of year. We're running behind. Going to take a quick break. Megan Wilson will join us for the WBCA Center Court. We still have Trevor Woodruff from Scranton joining us. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA NABC Studio. And the computer just wanted to freeze up again. Unbelievable. Folks, I can't make this up. We cannot win. We'll get Megan Wilson on the line. We will take the break that is required to get the darn computer fixed, and then we will come back. We thought we had eliminated all the gremlins. Apparently we have not, and I have no idea why we have not. But bear with us. We will be back as soon as we can.